Why, hello everyone, and welcome to Embody the Roar Tarot. I'm Elisa, and today I'm going to be focused on the 4-4 portal, which is happening tomorrow, April 4th, as well as the full moon in Libra, which is happening on Wednesday. And I love that this energy is connected because 4 is all about strength, determination, balance. It's the building blocks that help us to create a foundation for ourselves and our lives. And so we have this incredible energy of manifestation that's going to be able to help us to do that, while we also then on the back of that have this full moon release in the sign of Libra. And this is really beautiful because it's going to potentially trigger some of what needs to be healed and released. And since Libra focuses on love, balance, and harmony, this is kind of a beautiful time to create more structure, more balance, more harmony, and specifically love for yourself. Now, when I think about 4, I always think about astrology. Okay, so I think about the 4th house of astrology, which is all about our ancestry, our roots, our family. And so I think that this is also a beautiful time for us to call in resources, okay, and our spirit guides to really help us. So anyone in your family who you align with who might be in the spirit world, sometimes we know who that is. Like for me, I know that's my grandmother. But for you, I'd be really curious, like who's showing up for you? What ancestral foundation, strength, determination, and resilience are you pulling in to help you during this period where you're starting to fashion and wield this beautiful foundation for yourself? And with 4-4, it's all about taking aligned action. And so this is going to be really beautiful because when you add 4 plus 4 up together, it equals 8, which is really this beautiful number of abundance, expansion, and really kind of being a boss. So really beautiful time to usher in more leadership, more vision, more self-love. And then with full moon release, any resistance that you have to any of that. So in today's reading, I want to do a Celtic Cross, and I'm going to be using this really lovely Dali tarot deck. It's gorgeous. It has to do with Salvador Dali's beautiful art. And I really thought that surrealism, it's kind of a way that we can envision what's possible. And so much of what Dali did was through his dreams, through being able to make his dreams a reality, right? And I think that that's beautiful manifestation energy. So I wanted to use that. And then I'm also going to be pulling an oracle card from Sacred Rebels deck, which actually has to do a lot with ancestry and with, like, you know, your higher self, your inner child, as well as any lineage that you have. And this is from Alana Fairchild. And I really love this oracle deck. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a Celtic Cross reading. And Celtic Cross readings are quite beautiful because this allows us to sort of see the overall narrative, the overall story of what might be issuing in during this time. So really this is more of a forward-thinking reading, but I have a feeling it's going to help give us insight into aligned action during 4-4 and what we might want to release with this full moon in Libra. So I'm going to take some time to continue shuffling. I did cleanse the card using smoke. I grounded my own energy. So I would say and encourage you to definitely do the same with your own energy. If you can, just make sure that your feet are rooted and planted on the earth. That would be really helpful as you take in the reading. Okay? And so just as a reminder, I do not take or read reversals. I do consider the energy and just to see sort of if it has anything to do with the energy of that card. I just don't read it as a reversal. I just love these cards. It helps to give interpretation and meaning to what the message of the cards are in such a beautiful way. Wow, I love this. Okay, so this reading is all about what is this next aligned action during the 4-4 portal to create more strength, balance, and determination, as well as any insights into what we need to let go of and release during this full moon in Libra, very heart-centered period. So what I'm seeing first in terms of the situation is the Knight of Wands. So Knight of Wands wands are all about our creativity, our inspiration, our expression. And so it looks like, there's a desire to want to self-actualize, a desire to want to create. Okay, so that is the situation. All right. And sometimes this can show up in our bodies as restlessness. This can show up as creative inspiration that we don't know what to do with, right? But potentially you've been exerting this energy in some way. Maybe you're someone like me who's a reader or starting a business, and so you have something that you want to usher in. And so that's the kind of energy that we're working with, is like more of this assertive energy. And during Aries season, you might feel that activated so much more because Aries is all about new beginnings, fresh starts, etc. So you might have more energy than you know what to do with at this point. And I can imagine there's something about taking that next right action, okay? And knowing how to do so in an aligned way. Now, if this was like a Queen of Wands or a King of Wands, I would say, oh wow, you're very sophisticated in this. But this might be more sort of like not junior energy, but like you're just getting your mojo going, so to speak, with this. So that's the situation, is like what you're creating or trying to create in your lived reality, okay? Now the challenge here is the Lovers, okay? And so when I think of the Lovers, obviously immediately sometimes we think about love coming in. It could also be the pursuit of love, but sometimes the Lovers also has to do with partnerships when it comes to business, bonds, contracts, things like that we're bringing two together as one. Now, the Lovers is a major arcana, so I have a feeling that whatever this challenge is a pattern. Okay, so if you're familiar with the concept of a pattern, it's essentially the challenge could be something that you're meaning to break. It could be something that you want to break through or that you're working through in terms of a challenge. It could even be a relationship that you are releasing, or a relationship that you're trying to reconcile as you create. Oftentimes, as much as heartbreak is tough, and again, I'm not reading heartbreak, but it could be having to do with someone else or a bond that ended, or even a bond that you desire, right? It could challenge us because we have all of this energy and we don't know what to do with. It's like we want to connect, and maybe in the past we had this connection with someone else. Maybe we're calling in that sort of a partnership. And so, oftentimes it can be really hard when we feel like we're one of two peas in a pod, right? But where's that other person? What's that other thing? So for some of you, I would say this could be, wanting to call in love, right? Wanting to call in a partner, a soulmate. Now, what's interesting is that 44 is the number of like me and my partner coming together. There's a lot of significance of this number. I even have it tattooed on my body. So I just got that in my mind's eye. And so I think it's like calling in that right partnership could be a challenge. Doesn't mean that it's just like not going to happen or anything like that, but it could be something that you're trying to call in. You're trying to call in your other half in whatever it is that you are creating. Okay, this could also be business. Maybe you have a great idea, you just don't know how to bring it to fruition. So that's what I see you operating with in terms of a challenge. Now, the focus is the Seven of Cups. Okay, so this is something that's kind of, brewing amidst this creative restlessness and calling in some sort of partnership or releasing a partnership, right? Really depends on your situation. Now, the Seven of Cups is all about making that right choice, because in some of these cups, what you can't see is that there's actually a snake in one of them. There's smoke in another, right? And some you have riches and gold, but others you have challenges and peaks and valleys, right? So it's talking about, this is really about taking aligned action. It's about making sure that you're making decisions from an earnest and real place. And I would say from your heart space, okay? Funny enough, I made this tie-dye shirt, and it was all about activating this heart space. So as I'm reading this and looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that kind of is like what we need to do is align these actions into our desires, okay? Now, we're always trying to solve for something, right? And whatever decision we make, maybe it's our happiness, our joy, our fulfillment, etc. If we're doing so outside of our needs, then we're going to be distracted by things that are not actually going to satiate, right? It is when we connect to what it is that we really desire. What do you desire out of love? What do you desire out of whatever it is that you're creating? Is it just to like get notoriety, or is it actually to fill your needs, whatever they may be, okay? This is really important because when we're calling in something from a fear-based place or from scarcity, we're going to be calling in lessons, not love, okay? So it doesn't mean that that's not okay, but that's just something I want you to think about, okay? So make sure you're making a heart-based choice of your desires, not of just your head and your fear, okay? So that's the focus. Now, the past, the recent past, so I see the Four of Cups, and you can see this man kind of forlorn, kind of naked. And so this is all sort of like, the Four of Cups really has to do with this sense of like, apathy, the sense of like what you have lost is kind of like, I don't really like what I have. Okay, so see, it's like crying over those cups that are not fulfilling. So that is a huge trend here. Okay, I'm seeing this. You have all this creative energy. I have a feeling for a lot of you, this has to do with love or doing what you love, right? It's about making decisions, but also you're still mourning, okay, what it is that did not work. Okay, and so this could be life as it is. This could be a really groundbreaking transitional time in your life. And so the apathy is more of just like, oh shoot, every time I create something or I fill these cups, it's not really what I want. But what you don't see in the very background is that there is a cup being offered from the universe, okay? And this cup is all saying, it's like, hey, once you align with that desire in which would actually fulfill you, okay, once you actually fill this cup and hold it and wield it, all of this stuff, you're not going to worry about it, okay? So the Four of Cups is a very transitional card. Now, funny enough, it's 4, and we have 4-4, taking aligned actions. We're talking about aligning with what it is that would actually fill us, okay? If you struggle with this, that is okay. It's very distracting, the world of like, oh, but I want this like 2.5 kids in this house, and it's like, well, do you actually want that? To what end do you want that? Do you want that so that you'll feel a sense of belonging, etc.? Get to that core need and ask yourself, like, where do I feel like I'm lacking in this? And how can I validate these desires and these needs? And how can I begin to supply them for myself so that when someone else comes along, they're adding to my cup, okay? So no use crying over spilled milk is kind of the message of this card. Now, the possibilities for the future are the Three of Wands. There are partnerships and collaborations that you are calling in. There's a beautiful, there's 2 butterflies on this person's back, okay? And so it's this idea of there's a transitional moment, this element of rebirth. Three of Wands is all about, you have this Knight of Wands, right? It's like, I'm going steadfast, I'm creating, I want to do something. Three of Wands is all about like, kind of looking at the breakthroughs that you've already made, okay, and getting some reflection. And what this person doesn't see is that there's more resources than they can imagine. So I find that the Three of Wands really is about teamwork, it's about expansion, it's about freedom, it's about seeing that there are opportunities all around us. We get to call in those opportunities to ourselves. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about the Lovers again. Okay, so I just want to revisit that because I have a feeling that part of what your lesson is during this period and maybe how things didn't work. We always hear about the law of attraction, right? It's like, oh, I attract what I believe, etc. We never hear about the law of contrast. Okay, the law of contrast is all about giving you a taste of what you don't want so that you can get more attuned with what you do want. So it could have been that some of you suffered from wrong relationship or a lesson versus love. Okay, something that just did not align. And that's really beautiful because now the possibilities are you imagining what could be possible on the other side of that. Okay? And then in the near future, we have the Five of Cups. Okay? So this, you're potentially going to release things that no longer serve you. Now, this is so beautiful because this is all about releasing grief and essentially like releasing any feelings of unlovedness or of unworthiness, right? And so Five of Cups, this is the near future, so I would say it might be a bit of an emotional period. I know water signs are being activated during the full moon in Libra. Even though Libra is an air sign, it's activating Scorpio and Pisces. And so this is a really beautiful time to release emotion. Okay, so if you are a Scorpio, if you are a Pisces, this is a really beautiful time because we have our South Node in Scorpio as well. Okay, so I want you to really think about what it is that you might want to emotionally release, okay? Cancers as well, because Cancer has to do with the full moon and it is the embodiment of our emotions. It's associated with the feminine, so again, releasing things, allowing yourself to cry. I would encourage you, during this full moon, I like to use fire because I have a lot of fire in my chart. But if you're a water person, this could be a beautiful time for a bath and just allow yourself to feel. You can watch something sad or something that's like activating your emotions and just release. So I see a release happening of grief, of frustration, of disappointments. This is going to be beautiful because that energy needs to be honored. It needs to be felt so that it can be released. We don't think about that, right? We don't think, in order to get the good energy, I got to release the bad stuff, or I got to release the stuff that no longer serves me, right? Now, the power that you have is the Two of Swords, okay? So Two of Swords, you have this time of decision making. So that's the power, is that you're actually making aligned action and aligned decisions. And so this is going to be a time that you're going to want to really look inwards and ask yourself the tough questions, okay? Making a decision, taking time to consider all of the elements. If I would see this as a challenge, I would say, oh man, you might be standing in your own way. But in this situation, I think it's really getting aligned with what it is that you actually want. Okay, we talked about that from a heart-based place. Now this is actually from an idea and inspiration stage. So your power is that you actually have a lot of decision-making power right now. So you get to work on mindset right now. This is a really beautiful time for affirmations. This is a really beautiful time to take yourself in nature and see new possibilities and expansion, okay? Because Two of Pentacles, it is a little heady, okay? So it is somebody who can sometimes be blind to this decision that they're making because they're making it within themselves. But it's also really, really beautiful to align your actions with what it is, the inspirations that you might be giving. I'm seeing right now my crown chakra activated, okay? So this idea of channeling wisdom, opening myself up to new ideas, okay? So in this decision-making period, while it is potentially something that you're doing inwardly, I would really focus on meditating and allowing your crown chakra to be open to endless possibilities and to universal wisdom. If you feel yourself called to a certain book, a certain tarot deck, etc., that's beautiful because this period is going to be great for that. So next up, we have in your environment the Two of Pentacles, okay? So it's this kind of beautiful time of finding balance between your resources and your actions, and just really, I like to think about the Two of Pentacles, which oftentimes looks like the number 8 as like a loop, right? Is, being able to balance your actions almost with the actions of others. So you might be weighing choices right now. You might be getting insights from other people. You might be considering your options. And so this is a time to kind of create balance between your head and your heart. Okay? I always like to say the head is the messenger and the heart is the guide. Right? So it's why when we're in meditation or when we're in yoga, we're kind of going like this, right? Because we're actually allowing ourselves to look inward towards our heart and gaining that wisdom from there. So that way our head could follow suit versus the latter, right? Which is just like, oh, I have this thought and I'm just run with it. And it's like, well, are you doing so from a place that's aligned with your heart? So I think, the environment is such that you might be taking in other wisdom, other insights, and that's really important because that will help you in this decision-making period. So I like that you have resources and you're, really considering what your options are. All right, and then you have here the in your hopes and dreams, you have the Seven of Pentacles. So I'm seeing a lot of pentacle energy here, so it seems like you're bringing things in. Now what's interesting is that when I look at the origin of this reading, I'm seeing lots of cups. I'm seeing you kind of work through the emotions of things. You're reconciling your emotions, you're releasing things, you're making decisions from a heart-based place. We then go to some swords, but now we're getting into pentacles. So it's all about what you're creating from within, okay? That's what this period is all about. 4-4, making those aligned actions, building a foundation for yourself. And in order to do that, we got to release what we no longer need, right? And this is all heart-based, but now we get to see these things happen around us. And that's what the Seven of Pentacles is all about. Seven of Pentacles is all about patience, hard work, delayed success. It's all about creating from a place of, just diligence and like putting ourselves out there, continuing to do this. So, let's say this has something to do with romance, right? It's staying the course. Like, I think that sometimes we get so downtrodden with like dating because we're like, oh my God, I don't want to have to do this. And the apps and oh my gosh, it's so much work. It doesn't have to be work, but we do potentially have to, it is heart work, so we do potentially have to stay the course. Keep that app up, be open and receptive to energy. It's not about the exact right strategy to find that person. It's about staying the course and knowing what it is that we deserve. If this has something to do with business, this is about like continuing to do that marketing, even though when you don't see the immediate actions and results of it, that's okay. So you're really hoping for more creation, more success. You're kind of cultivating this harvest, so to speak. Okay, with this Seven of Pentacles, it's that hard work, it's that diligence, right, that you're gaining through this. So some of you, it could be about motivation, right, gaining the energy, the emotional energy, right, that will then have outward expansion. Now the outcome is the Knight of Cups, which I love because the origin was the Knight of Wands. So you're still coming out with this like incredible energy, but instead of it's, I'm just shooting at the hip, here it's that you actually are bringing in more love. And I have a feeling some of you are becoming this. You're becoming more aligned in your heart space. You're becoming more regulated in your emotions, and you're going after what it is that you desire. Because the Knight of Cups in traditional tarot just looks like this person on a horse just looking at that cup, being so aligned with what it is that they're cultivating, that they're creating with their emotional state. So with Knight of Cups, I see this outcome as bringing in endless love, endless creation, endless possibilities and opportunities that are really going to satiate, not just, not that this is always restless energy, but in this situation, I would say yes. It's like you have all this energy you don't know what to do with, and now you're doing so from such a focused, intentional space, because you know what it is that you want, okay? And your eyes are on the prize. And so I think for some of you, this is gaining the motivation towards what it is that you desire. This is having diligence and having the fortitude to be able to see the forest for the trees and say, you know what? All of this was worth it. This was my journey, okay? My journey of, creating strength, determination towards my desires, releasing all the pain of the past, all of the lessons. We don't have to replay. It's not a loop that needs to be played over and over. We need to use that energy to create what it is that we desire, to get right in the head, to get right in our actions and our resources, to start to cultivate through hard work and diligence, stay the course, and then to create something worth living for. So this was such a beautiful message, and I really encourage you to use this portal energy tomorrow around aligned actions. What is it that you want to bring in? Go deep into meditation. I would encourage you to ground, cleanse your energy, and just tune into what it is that you want. What's that foundation you're looking for? Full moon in Libra, allow yourself to release, to really use this energy to clear out any wounds and do some healing so that you can bring more abundance in for yourself. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in. I encourage you to look at my other offerings on my site. I also do astrology readings. I do one-on-one tarot readings, and I'm formerly a coach of 15 years, so I just love working with you one-on-one, but these are super fun to do as well, these readings. So thanks so much for tuning in and for your patience, and I'm wishing you all of the love and all of the abundance during the 4/4 portal and the full moon in Libra. Bye. So I realized that I ended the reading and I never pulled an oracle card, and so I wanted to do that from the Sacred Rebel Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And so the card I pulled is number 16, and it states, what you want wants you. Now what I love is that 4 times 4 with the 4/4 portal equals 16, so I thought that was an interesting numeric coincidence. And so this card is all about really the idea that what you desire is already making its way to you. It's in connection, right, with you. So it says, do you dare to believe that what you want is also wanting you? The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Yet if you have been shamed, judged for, made to feel guilt over, or denied your natural desires or pleasures in any way, you may have developed a very tricky and complicated relationship with the yearnings of your heart. Funny enough, we talk so much about the heart today. We often learn to distrust our own desires and come to believe that they are something to be overcome or avoided. We may even try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Perhaps we have conditioned ourselves to believe that getting what we want is for others, not us. This oracle brings you the message that whether you see it coming or not, your desire is already on its way towards you. It is closer than you think, and soon you will be able to see it, touch it, feel it, and enjoy it. You will then become inspired for your next manifestation based on the true desires of your heart. So really trust and believe that what you desire is already on its way towards you. And so I'm going to have you repeat this statement 3 times. I'm going to repeat it twice, and then I want you to repeat it to yourself. What I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. What I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. Now repeat that once to yourself. Awesome. You're already on your way towards healing, and what you want wants you. All right, I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.